Hello, beautiful. Have you ever thought about what is the real use of energy? Because sometimes I think we don't get it. And I'm going to explain to you what this vague entry into today's download is we all have equal opportunities for energy. And you might fight me on this in your mind. So if I'm coming to you at a time where you can't handle that you are an equal opportunity human, this might be something that you have to start and stop a few times, which I think is always really awesome. Why don't you take the challenge? So many of us rely on our stories. And we want to tell our story, and we want people to know our story because we want people to know where we came from, especially if we didn't have the parents that we feel that we needed to have to become the human that we need to be. And I'd say that the parental story is one of the strongest. But you know what another one is you didn't have enough money when you were younger, or your parents struggled, or your environment, or where you lived, or the country you came from. But I would say most people that are going to be listening to this as the energy builds towards our solar codes and solstice comes upon us, is that you were born in the United States with a lot more opportunity than most people in any other part of the world. I think that I've heard that just being born in the USA alone, despite any of the restrictions on our opportunities, you're still part of like the 1% of the world. Isn't that incredible? It might be the 5%, but I think it's still way up there on the we are blessed. So imagine that today we're going to explore where we go in our story and how we lumber that around with interesting. I'm not going to stop, but we've got this siren in the background. Where we take with our quote-unquote emergencies, right? What hardships that we've been through that have taken us here to this here and now moment. And how have you carried your story? Have you taken it along like a pack of toys like on Santa Claus's back? Or has it been a bag of coal that is too heavy to kind of drag along? This isn't that instant Mystic Alley relief download. You know what it is? It's the Mystic Alley's going to change my mind and help me to heal download. I want you to come deeper into an energetic attunement for hardship in your life. And I want you to bring your mind down to the level of your heart. And, I say that a few times to really get you to sync up. So just stay with me in your breath and bring your mind to the level of your heart. You're doing really good, actually. So now I just want to ask you to let your breath breathe you. And you'll notice that when your breath is breathing you, you're breathing from your heart. There's a sense of relief to that. Excellent. You're doing really well. So to cycle back, we're here to ask our higher self within us, which is the part of us that answers back. How am I integrating my personal story in my life at this time? So instead of maybe where you were at 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, you might have reached different levels of integration. So you might say, today, I'm doing much better than I did when I was in high school. I'm doing much better than when I was a teenager. I'm doing much better than I did after my divorce. I am doing much better than when I was pregnant. Or I'm doing worse than ever. I'm not patient with myself at all. Oh my goodness, so many interruptions with sound. This doesn't happen in Avalon. It's so interesting. But in your assessment of yourself, how much are you laboring through the energy that either you've been carrying for a long time or the energy that's in your present moment? Where are you at with the pressures of your life that's pressuring you to change? Where are you at with that right now? Ask yourself. I'm going to give you a little hint. If you have a lot of story about who you were, who you've been at all these stages, but you're very clear in your here and now, and you have that awareness that you've been through a lot, but you're okay, you're doing a heck of a good job. Because even though you're aware of your story, you realize that there's past levels of that pressure that has actually transformed you and helped you to become who you are. So you can kind of happily answer that question. Allie, I'm in the here and now. But if you find that when I ask you that question and you can't get through to the next part of my download and you find yourself jumping out or stopping, then what I'm going to tell you is too much of your energy is being dragged around like Santa's bag of coal. If you've lost your ability to be in the present moment, then life is much more difficult for you than it would be if you kept accepting what's happened to you that has made you come to this now moment as the person that you are. I'm going to keep clarifying this because sometimes this is really easy for those of you who are like, Allie, I'm present. So for the Allie that I'm present people, I want you to start thinking, what do I really need to build into my energy field that's next for me as I prepare myself for solstice on Friday, which is going to be June 20th, or Summer Solstice, 2025. But for those of you who are stuck in your story, I can tell you one really helpful thing to contemplate as you prepare in the next few days for the building of energy that's happening. If you are not in your present now, it's going to build like you have like gas in your tummy. It's going to feel pressurized. It's going to feel painful. It's going to feel distended belly. You may or may not have a distended belly, but your organs, your body's going to feel tight and pressurized. And this is one of the most important downloads for you that I've ever done, because I'm calling you to get present with your energy. And you can't get into your present now if you're lumbering around with a bag of coal that's so heavy you can't even pop it on your back. You know, remember the Fool card in the tarot deck has only a knapsack. No matter what you think of tarot because of the stories you've been told by your religions or your elders, the tarot is really just about your journey to enlightenment. That's what it's about, is where are the pitfalls in my life that I need to look at, and the cards will help you to read that. This isn't an advertisement for tarot. I've never even needed to really use it, actually. It fascinates me, but I'm a cold reader, so I get the answers without any kind of divination tool. But it is an awareness of one of the ways that people have utilized to prepare for their relationship with spirit, and a way to get insight at the situations of their life and where those cards position themselves when they lay them down. Is it in your present? Is it in your past? Is it in your now? Right? Is it in who you were or who you're becoming? All the questions that we ask when we ask the questions of our journey are honestly really about how much awareness can I bring to this now moment? And how can I ask myself the right questions of how to really assess where I'm at? And we want to change our lives. All of us are here because we want to become better and we want to change our lives and we want to evolve. But the truth is that some of us don't realize that when we're coming to an awareness, a process, a group, a mentor to change, then change is what's going to help be catalyzed in our life. And I've noticed so often, some people like to think about change, but not everybody wants to change. So you have to make sure that as we build the spiritual energy in your life, that you're actually ready and want to make changes. And in order to make those changes, we have to process the energy that's in our field, that's blowing up our energy balloon, that isn't usually too helpful to just leave as a stagnant bubble of pressure, right? Today, as you get ready to move towards more light is more energy. So more energy is going to feel like more pressure, unless you can be in a state of acceptance of all the things that you perceive as having burdened your life up until this point. The most important thing that we can work on so you can change your life and shift your energy to manifest new things is to come into a state of acceptance for all the things you've been carrying around, but were never really able to accept. You might have been holding it as resentment. You might have been holding it as sadness. This doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're not going to feel resentment or you're not going to feel sadness or grief. It means let yourself feel your sadness. Let yourself feel your stubbornness to let it go. Put your feet into the pool, the anointed waters of processing. If you can't process and you can only hold chi for that day, that when you're finally healthy enough to face all your pains, it's going to take a long time for that day to come. But if you can just bite off little bits of it and be ready to just take on the thought of, instead of just rushing into what I want to make happen, look at the ship that you're on and think, what can I clear off the decks that are standing in the way of my awareness so that my mind is more clear, my heart is more open, and even though I don't like what happened, even though I don't understand what's happened, and even though I might not have fully processed what's happened to bring me here to this now moment of who I am, how can I be more accepting of this is where my starting point is today? And I promise you, when you get to the end of the week and you feel that there's a sense of celebration of light, you will be more aware that you can hold more light when you ask yourself, I want to grow. I want to know myself. I want to be able to use my energy better. Your first really honest, practical step is always going to be, how have I accepted? How am I accepting the things that have challenged me? And how can I begin to turn that energy into usable energy? And this is where we begin. And this is truly where we can start to celebrate what bringing more light in is going to mean when you're celebrating solstice. I'm holding you, I'm loving you, and I'm supporting you. I think this might be one you might need to listen to a few times. I'll see you in the well tomorrow.